y'all, it's your girl Sunray coming at you guys with another video. And in this video I will be talking about how God started to have me clean house. That's what I'll call it, clean house. So if you guys were able to watch the last video, I'll link it up here, where I talked about how things really started to get uncomfortable for me. That was the first thing that happened before God told me I was moving and where God wanted me to move to, right? And so the next thing that happened was God had me clean house. Now, what do I mean by clean house? So when it comes to God speaking to us, we need to make sure we have a sound mind, right? And what do I mean by a sound mind? I mean, like, you are at peace. You are able to be still and listen so that you can know the directive, so you can know what God is trying to say to you. At that point in my life, like I described in the last video, I had crippling anxiety. And what I mean by crippling anxiety is it was just, how can you call it? Like, so many nerves. I was worried about everything, like any situation, no matter how big or small, I was worried about it. And with that, it caused me to be very cluttered, not just cluttered in my thinking because I'm always worrying about stuff, but you know, your mental space is a reflection of your physical space. My physical space, my home was cluttered. Not to mention the relationships with people I had in my life and things like that. There was a lot of clutter going on. And before God could even sit down with me to start to do that inner work that we talk about that God has to do, God's like, hey, I need you to organize your life first. Like, you need to get this together. So pretty much what happened, guys, is I started organizing my home first. And I believe it works interchangeably. Your inner mind affects your outer environment, but I also believe your outer environment affects your inner mind. So what I did was I started to organize my kitchen. No, my bathroom was the first thing that I organized. And it made everything so much better because when everything has a certain place, it allows for energy to flow, right? It allows for almost, right? So anywho, that translated to me organizing my closet and then organizing the kitchen and then all of this stuff. So as I'm organizing things, it's like my thoughts are starting to become more clear. And in the midst of that, I started to realize that not only did I need to clean up physical aspects of my life, like organize, but also too, I needed to sort the relationships that I had in my life. Who are the people that I need to keep? Who are the people that I've been keeping for too long? Who was supposed to be there for a reason and I kept them for a few seasons? You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of where my mind started to shift. And the very first large thing that I focused on was my relationship. And it was, I don't know, it's like once I organized everything, it was like I was able to clearly think of my own home, if that makes sense. Like, God was able to speak to me and I started having these feelings of like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, right? But yeah, God pretty much had me clean house because God can't even begin to really speak to you if you have too many things cluttered around you. That's just how a TI is. Like, you have to make room, make space for the blessings, but make room, make space for this new relationship that you're creating with God. Because if God is telling you to move somewhere and you know you don't have family there, provision and all this other stuff, you know that man will turn on you any second they can get, but you know God has never turned his back on you, which means having God and knowing him and having a relationship with him, that's going to be so important and vital to your move because you're not worried. You like, well, I'm in a state I don't know nobody, but guess what? I got God. God know everybody. God telling me to do this. God tells me to do that. And that's why it's so important for, I believe, to follow these steps. Not saying you have to follow these steps to a T. Follow whatever steps Holy Spirit has you follow. This is just a reflection of my experience. But yeah, I'll see y'all in part 3 where I talk about God telling me to end my relationship pretty much. It was a 4-year relationship, so we'll talk about that later.